Well, are there any old fags on this channel? Try to guess by the sound what I will disassemble today. If you guessed, pause the video and write in the comments, what is it? And we will continue after the intro. I broke the egg. Today we are dissecting a portable game from Elektronika. Wolf catches eggs. Or, well, wait a minute. And in general, its name is Elektronika IM-02. By the way, what does IM mean? It's a microprocessor game, meaning it even has some kind of processor in it. But we'll look further into what's inside it. The essence of this game is to catch as many eggs as possible. We see that the wolf here with a basket is trying to keep up with everything, and the hare above him is laughing, provoking the hens to such hyperactivity. Oh wow, I actually caught two simultaneously. The body of the toy itself is made. This is an aluminum panel on the front, and the back of the body is made of plastic. Polycarbonate is likely used. In the center, there's a display that shows diversions when pressed. This is a liquid crystal display in which these images with a wolf are already printed. 4 images of a wolf, how it moves, a bunny, these broken eggs, and a scoreboard. With glasses, as far as I remember, you could collect a maximum of 999 glasses. After which the game, it rebooted, and as if a new level of difficulty had started. It appears that shards from the broken eggs were still flying at that instant. If you had 2 under 1,000 tension, they reset, and you continued to play. I don't even know a single person who made it, that is, up to 90. There was also, by the way, a rumor that if you score 1,000 points, then here, a cartoon will appear, showing a wolf chasing a hare or a similar scene. There was no cartoon, as the liquid crystal display did not allow for any additional animation. This is how to draw such a cartoon in a notebook. That is, you won't add anything else there. As it is, so it is there. 4 or 5 pages. They will be doing something there. This stand, it also had the function of a clock. So we put the stand, and it stands, shows us the time. We can set an alarm. It's a pity that it didn't have any power from the network. I would have put it, let it stand, work from some adapter, and not just from batteries. So there were 2 levels of difficulty in the games here. Game A, Game B. Before we start dissecting this setup, let's just try pressing all the buttons to see what it can do. I don't remember what these screws were for. It seems there are some rubber buttons hidden there. In principle, these 2 tools should be enough. What are these little holes for? The bottom button is a reset, a full restart of this stand. When we restart, either by removing the batteries, the stand reboots and asks us to set the time. By the way, an interesting point, it says DP and PP here. It's the equivalent of AM and PM, as in America, before noon and afternoon. Why is it done this way? As it turned out, this attachment is a clone of the attachment that was called She. It looked absolutely the same. Only there was Mickey Mouse and his friend Minnie. Mickey Mouse was catching eggs, and the gameplay, in principle, was absolutely the same. That's why such a temporary format is used here. It was originally invented in Japan by a company. There were also several versions there. Literally 3 years later, our Soviet scientists, Soviet developers released such a clone. Soviet children were happy they played. I have such a flashback from childhood that I'm on a train, we're going somewhere, and I'm playing this game. By the way, I had exactly such a one in my childhood, just in such a color. I specifically found it in such a color on a well-known platform where people sell various secondhand things. I won't name the platform since I'm not paid to advertise it, but I find many interesting things there in principle. Reach out to our advertising department via the provided links. We await your contact. So, they sent it to me. The only thing I noticed is that this cap, unfortunately, is not original. The texture is different, the color is different. As it turned out, they had already printed it on a 3D printer because the original was successfully lost. Well, by the way, it fits so tightly that I don't know how it could be lost. I don't understand how this happened. The top item is a screw with a button, and the bottom one is a reset button as previously established. This is exactly the alarm clock setting button. That is, we press it, the alarm clock appears, and we wind it up to the desired time using the buttons, after which we press the time button and the alarm clock is set. I set it to 11, a lucky number. You can make a wish. That's how it happened by chance. I'll reiterate, this is a microprocessor game, its factory name. The factory has made some markings here, by the way. Serial numbers, presumably, or there's a shift number. By the way, it was produced from 1984 to 1991. Here's an interesting thing. I always wondered, why is there some plastic there? Did it just happen to get there, or what? Turns out either at the factory or stores when they sold such equipment, or their, for example, joysticks for Dendy, they stuffed this soft, incomprehensible substance in there. Possibly it's plasticine, and they put a special stamp there, guaranteeing the chip in the same way. That is, when we start to disassemble it, all this mess, it gets violated. Accordingly, we removed this adhesive that was there, if it was there. This means that there was an attempt at unsanctioned interference with the device, and this voided the warranty. Before fully disassembling it, turn off the power. This is a 3D printed cover. They did a great job printing it. The batteries are accessible. They are, in principle, you could even use a nail to hook and remove the battery like this. The format here is G12, such little ones. You could have put in there in thicker batteries, that is of the next format. They even held longer. Using exactly these is recommended. By the way, what were the life hacks when we played with this toy and it started to discharge? We usually got these batteries, something like rubbing them against each other, heating them up. By the way, I don't know if it helped at all or not. We've already unscrewed one screw and moved on. So, besides this toy, wait, where the wolf hunts for eggs, there were a few more toys. Octopus, cook, hunting, I think fishing. The most interesting were the races. It was called autoslalom. In the races, there was a car like Formula One bypassing some kind of sticks, obstacles. This was precisely the domestic development. It did not release such a game. By the way, it was so funny. Probably the most interesting of those that were. Write in the comments, did you have such a console, and what was your favorite game? I'm very curious how many of you are, so to speak, old fags. Let's see what's inside this console. I think one of these little pry bars will be enough for us. The case has already started to open easily. Just in case, we check. No clips, nothing, no lids are attached here, not soldered. This is the board. We'll return to it later. I'm curious about how this WOW was implemented. It fell out on its own. I didn't break it. It's such a twist, as if it's made from some simple wire. It's held by a plastic such capchicks, and that's it. Interesting moment. Here, these panels on the stands not everyone had. These slots. Some stands just didn't have them, and the sound was probably worse. So this turns out to be even cooler. Let's see if there are any other markings here. No, there are no markings, just this hole. Under the screws, this is the board. Printed circuit board, really made like some old receiver, such powerful paths here. I think this fixture doesn't care at all. It would even survive a nuclear explosion. Printed circuit board. This is a speaker that buzzes and produces an interesting melody. 4 screws. Now we will unscrew them and see what's further inside. The speaker is soldered to 2 pins, 2 contacts. And in the middle, I see another contact there. It is attached to this circuit board. We unscrew these 4 screws to see what's next. Yes, I had one like that in my childhood. I really wanted to disassemble it, but I was scared because I was afraid that I would be very upset if it suddenly stopped working. Still, it was worth it. At the time when they were produced, it cost 25 rubles, an average salary. The usual number of engineers or workers at the enterprise was around 150. Therefore, to break such a pad, damn, it was a misfortune. The plate is still held with the help of 2 screws, once or twice. The battery pins also held on a bit, but not strongly. Wow, as we can see, the contacts are clean, so all the buttons were pressed normally. Wow, this is it, yes. This is exactly, apparently, the microprocessor. Well, as I read, this is not a microprocessor, this is just a microcontroller. Here is where our toy is sewn in. Since this microcontroller here is 1 or a microprocessor, then the game is just 1. That is, its memory did not allow to record more than 1 toy there. And such a moment is interesting. Here is this bottom row of roads. These roads are in the air. That is, there is no such dense attachment to the circuit board. On the other hand, they are directly dense. This is very interesting. Capacitors and some kind of transistors. It holds everything very tightly. Let's put this aside for now. Now we will proceed to the disassembly. Already here, inside. Here is some kind of paper. What is it and what is this? When I turned it over, my buttons and the pad fell out. This rubber one, which provides contact with the circuit board, and the buttons are triggered. So the contact happens here, such a closure, and Wolf, it turns out, starts to swing left-right with his basket. I also noticed that there is some paper here. I don't know why they put it here. Maybe the seam just ripped here. It ripped, and they immediately put the paper there. Everything is straight to the point, and what's cheap and shoddy, got the main buttons. The contact happens in this little rubber piece. If the contact is bad, you can just take a simple pencil and smear these contacts with graphite, and then the contact will be better. Yes, we see here that there are 3 buttons. This is game A, game B, time, once. They have such a nice color, this red one, it's so pleasant. We see that essentially only the display remains. Listen, I'm curious, how did the display connect to the console? Was it through these contacts? Damn, this is very interesting. When I opened it, I checked for a ribbon cable, but there was none. This is really cool. For me, this is such a novelty, an old thing. There are few people on this channel who are older than this console. I think so. Well, let's try to get the most valuable thing. I hope I don't tear it apart. Still, this is such a rare story. Here it seems to be. I see this little thing starting from this side. Oops, it started from this side. Yo, just like that, these are the rubber bands. They likely ensure the contacts. Accurately, we have them. I'll put it like this. This was on top, this was at the bottom. Very accurately. This is a reflector. If it weren't for this reflector, we would not see the image. Liquid crystal screen, it's transparent. The image appears on it. And somewhere there is a wolf imprinted, and eggs. Wolf and his eggs. Well, the eggs of this hare. Who throws them there? Pancake, this is very interesting. I still have a gamepad lying around somewhere. It also, of course, needs to be properly disassembled. Here's such a plastic thing, a mat. On it are just these chickens drawn, chickens and grass. I'm feeling a sense of childlike delight at the moment. What's going on here? You're quite special. Why do you think they took it apart? There's some kind of film here. I'm not sure if it's some kind of native film. So it turns out first there was a film, then this thing, then the screen, and these rubber bands. It was exactly on top, this rubber band. It just transfers the contacts to the circuit board. This is what this attachment was made of, such components. But our guys, of course, they just took it, apparently. Also brought from Japan, disassembled the attachment, looked at what all this can really be done. As far as I understand, these displays, they are not at all difficult to manufacture. Such displays are used there in some calculators. If you are some kind of creative person, probably, you can even make some kind of engraving and give such a gift to the one who understands this, or just for the collection. Probably one of the most valuable things. I see there are these poses of this wolf, what it's doing there. Is that correct? I just layered this thing on top. I hope I don't mess it up. So this one went in. Basically, this one went in, but this one still doesn't go in. So I've encountered a minor difficulty. So basically, the plastic display holder here doesn't click into place, so I'll try to lift it up, warm it up a bit in advance. Oops, it's in. I forgot to insert the reflector there. Well, okay, it's already funnier. How it happened there, the reflector seemed to be this part. It was on top, this matte part, because there are traces from these holders here. They apparently are clamping it. So they piled it up on the spot here because of the fact that the plate with these curls, it is slightly bent out, it turns out. Now he is lifting this whole structure, so this side has gone in, lift it up a bit, warm it up a bit. So this is in place, the yeast is in place, that's it. It had to be lowered a bit so it wouldn't press into the body. These rubber bands conduct the contacts, or maybe they hadn't arrived by the time of the ribbon cable. The Game Boy had a ribbon cable that connected to the board, and here are just these rubber conductive inserts. By the way, I was doing all this work while doing this. In the end, I turned the bracket upside down, and it turned out that I swapped these conductive pieces around. Let's see, by the way, does this affect the operation of the bracket at all or not? We throw all the buttons in their places. They don't have any texture, no drawings there. So we just insert them into these slots. Two fasteners should be fastened, and we should get into these slots, into these pins. And there are a few more on the body. That is, it won't work if you put it wrong. I think we need to pull it a little so that the circuit board fits all the contacts, but don't overdo it. So everything is in place here. Well, the battery contacts, by the way, have a slight deposit. Maybe it just wasn't stored in the right place. The deposit formed. Here you can see that the plastic has yellowed. I think it's because of very active play when hands sweat. Now it turns out we'll screw in a couple of screws, so screwed in a couple of screws. Now we'll see if it will work after my disassembly. So this last little screw with this little lip, by the way, it really looks like a lip that was in these 9-story buildings. The lip that was in the walls. I'm so old. Here's the lip. I'll try to push it in there again. Chicks, they've restored the warranty seal. So to speak, this thing from a 3D printer. Well, by the way, it's very well made. It's a perfect match. Well, the only thing is, yes, it differs in color. See, it's somewhat shiny. Well, here, by the way, on video, it's more like this. Yes, more noticeable. In real life, it's not as noticeable. Well then, let's check. Oops. Everything works. Now it's time to install. Everything is installed. Game, so to speak, hardcore level. This is not casual games, which are now on iPhones. By the way, the joke in this attachment cost about as much as an iPhone 7. Got it. So how do you catch here? Did it work? Now until the first crash. Oh, pancake, again, I broke the egg. That's what the electronic game is, microprocessor game. Well, wait, or wolf catches eggs, as we called it. Thanks to the Japanese for coming up with it. And our scientists, our manufacturers, caught this wave and made such a cool thing for children in the Soviet Union. In principle, you can still play with this toy, put aside the iPhone with its blue light, turn on the lamp and tinker for a couple of hours into this wonder toy. Reach 1,000 points and see if there will be a cartoon or not. Rushing forward, there will be no cartoon. The technology of this display does not allow it. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching. Write in the comments what equipment to disassemble on my channel. I will definitely read them and listen to you. That's all. Goodbye.